You're listening to the Downshift podcast, where four mates from Melbourne take you trackside for all the action in Formula One, breaking down the races, the drama, and everything in between, all with a little banter and a lot of passion. If you love motorsport and cars, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you're always on the grid with us. And if you want to support the team, leave us a 5-star review. So let's get into another action-packed episode. It's lights out, drop the clutch, and let's get racing. Hello and welcome to the Downshift podcast as we're getting ready to preview the Monaco Grand Prix, which is the Tag Heuer Grand Prix de Monaco for 2025. This is a track which fans really love or hate, and where it had its first Grand Prix in 1950 and has been a regular feature on the calendar since 1955, organised by the Automobile Club of Monaco. This is a short track, a street circuit with a lot of tight quarters and some interesting watching, but also quite a pedestrian race because, as we've seen throughout this year, if you take pole, you're pretty much guaranteed to win, and never has it been truer for Monaco. As we watch over 78 laps, with the lap record being held by Lewis Hamilton in 2021 of being 1 minute, 12 seconds, 0.909. So speaking to this being a tight track, this was once described by Nelson Piquet as like riding your bicycle around your living room, which is quite apt given the millimetric accuracy required over the track. And on this, overtaking is near to impossible. So, like, we've seen some incredibly interesting and historic moments. Do you want to take us through a few of those?
Yeah, look, it's I'm personally in the same camp. I find it quite a boring track personally. I get it's iconic and everything, but yeah, I'm out on this one. So you've got anything from there. So 1955, when I think it's Alberto Ascari in the Lancia flipped it into the actual ocean, and then also happened again in 65. Paul Hawkins in a Lotus flipped it over and went over the ocean as well. In 88, we had Ayrton Senna pole position lap, considered to be one of the greatest feats of driving ever. If you ever can get on YouTube and watch that lap is absolutely phenomenal. Watch him do that lap itself. And then, of course, close to our hearts here, 2018, Dan Ricciardo's victory, quite a momentous one for us to actually watch that. And he showcased his incredible skill and determination for that one. And then
the iconic dive into the pool.
Well, that one as well, yes. But then obviously in more recent terms as well, 2024. And then, of course, there was last year when we had the monumental crash in lap 1 between Magnussen and Perez as they were going uphill run through the turn 2 there. And Nico Hulkenberg was also caught up in that melee as well. The 2024 race was actually reasonable to watch, shall we say, given that the Charles Leclerc took pole position for that one. Then he did a fantastic drive, actually, and ended up claiming first on the day as well. Piastri managed to get second on the podium there, and then Carlos Sainz came in for third for that race, which was led basically by Charles Leclerc from start to finish.
Twice. So if you recall, they had to restart the race because of that massive crash between Magnussen and Perez. So we actually had, and this is where Carlos, he didn't need to buy a lotto ticket because he'd used all his luck up because there was the kiss between him and Piastri, which sent him off with a puncture. But because they had to restart the race, he actually got to get back to the pits, get the car fixed, get that back in and be able to go through and finish third. So a great result. We saw Esteban Ocon launch his car off Pierre Gasly's rear wheel as he was heading into the tunnel out of turn 8.
Yeah, so that was, they were obviously, racing wheel to wheel and trying to prove which one was going to be better on that one. But I don't think that the entire team at Alpine was that impressed when the fact that they ended up taking each other out there. So that was not what the team was hoping for, and I think they actually got a talking to going, look, we're happy for you to race, but it's got to be within reason because that was not the result that Alpine was actually chasing.
It's not the kind of teamwork you want to have, is it, when they get that close to each other?
No, and I think that was the nail in the coffin in regards to having those two drivers together in the team, and ultimately resulted in Ocon moving out of the team and then ending up elsewhere.
Yeah, which I don't think he's too disappointed about, to be brutally honest.
No, I think he actually ended up dodging the bullet.
So we're going to move into 2025 race?
Absolutely.
All right. So moving to the 2025 race, new to 2025, we have a compulsory 2-stop race. And it's the first time Monaco has seen a title sponsor in its history, being Tag Heuer, forming part of a $150 million deal for F1, being Tag Heuer now being the official timekeeper for the season, taking over from Rolex as part of the LVMH group committing over $1 billion over a multi-year deal. So plenty of money going around there. So you want to go and buy your Tag Heuer watches, make sure that they're all supported.
Well, if you look at the increase, because I mean, when Rolex started, they started on $10 million a year, and towards the end of their payment thing, they were up to $50 million a year, and now that's jumped to $150 million. So, it's almost a license to print money at the moment when you're talking sponsorship deals with them.
I mean, it's clearly worthwhile. Like, it's not, like
You
a lot of money.
see the drive to survive factor, and what the popularity of the sport. You see not the turnaround, just the exponential growth in regards to what the spectacle now is, and the new audiences that Netflix are bringing, and also Liberty Media in regards to the change of the sport, the accessibility of the sport to the fans, the new tracks that are bringing in new markets like the US market. So when we're seeing a tripling of investment just for the timekeeping sponsorship, that speaks to exactly how much this sport has grown over the years.
So looking at last year's results, when we had the pole sitter also winning the race, and we're looking again here at, similar tyre compounds to last weekend in Imola. We thinking we're going to end up with the pole sitter taking out this race again?
Odds are you'd be thinking that if you're on pole, you're 70-80% chance, if you don't screw up, to actually take out the lead and win the race.
Well, with compulsory 2 stops too, like there is no one-stop strategy here, is there, on this race circuit?
Correct. So this poses the question: are people going to go? We've got the C4, C5, C6. So you've got the softest compounds out of the Pirelli range. So are we going to see someone who is actually going to jump on the C6s to start off with, try and get some pace to be able to get ahead for the pit stops? There's talk of some of the teams literally after the first lap jumping in and changing tyres so that they're ticking one of those boxes off. And so we may see some really interesting strategy in regards to pit stops through the race.
Well, at Imola too, there was some qualifying that was done on, I think, the C5s, wasn't it? The medium compounds. And I thought that was a bit odd because I thought they were all sort of jumping in softs to get their quick laps, but they still seem to be, doing all right with that tyre.
Yeah, they're so close. I think you're seeing some of the teams who are. I think it was Russell who he got his time on the mediums for qualifying at the last race. So when you're seeing that, is the difference in compounds isn't that great, and so you'll be able to see that teams will be using that just as more excuse. So you might see, to try and get off the line a little bit quicker, go with the soft for a few laps, swap over, get some distance, and then do one more stop before going to the end of the race.
And the good news for us Aussies here, the race is actually on at a half reasonable time. Well, half reasonable. It's not too terrible for us to watch locally on our screens here.
Yeah, similar to Imola. So we're seeing FP1 local time in Monaco being 1:30 p.m, which translates to 9:30 p.m. here in Australia, or Australian Eastern Standard Time. FP2 being at 5 p.m. In Monaco and 1 a.m. locally in Australia. FP3 being 20 p.m. in Monaco and 8:30 p.m. on the Eastern Seaboard. And then qualifying p.m., which is midnight, which is not too difficult to stay up for, and then the race being 3 p.m. in Monaco and 11 p.m. here in Melbourne. So yeah, as you're saying, some pretty reasonable times.
So I think there was one thing we forgot to cover off in our last episode, was how our tippings went for the previous race there. So I think maybe we should let's go back and have a look at just how our fantastic Dan and myself did last weekend with our tipping, and then we can move forward to our obviously very, very accurate predictions for this weekend. Christian, I think you might have the stats for us there.
I do indeed. So for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and to the point that you made when we were doing these tips, Lockie, was that all of us picked a different pole sitter. So no matter what, the result was going to have an impact. And Happy will be happy to say that he got pole with Mosca Piastri, whereas Lockie, you'd pick Max, I'd pick Lando, and Schwags, you'd picked Kimi. So close. And then as we go through for the finishing of the race, we had Max on first, followed by Lando, and followed by Oscar. So the only one of us to get anything there was Happy again with Norris in second place. So that gave Happy 3 points, which takes him to the top of the leaderboard with 23 points, followed by you, Lockie, at 19. Myself also staying where I was at 16, and Schwags sitting at 9 points. So as we get into the Monaco round, so round 8 for the Grand Prix, Happy has phoned it in for this week and has just said, I will take the same tips that I had for last week. So we've got...
Just to clarify, he didn't want the tips that we gave him last week, which were pretty accurate. And when we go back and look at them, he wants to do his own again this week, just to clarify.
Stroll was coming through.
Well,
as I was watching qualifying, I thought he was silly not to take your tips, Lockie.
Well, I was so close,
But no, he had the better prediction, which brought him points. So for Monaco, Hubby's got Oscar on pole, Oscar for the win, Lando second, and Max in third place. Lockie, what are your thoughts in regards to pole, first, second, and third?
This is a tricky one this week. I'm going to hang it back out there and say that Verstappen is going to get pole. I actually think Piastri will win. I'm going to put Verstappen for second, and I'm going to go out on a wing and a prayer here and put Leclerc in for third.
Not back to backs, but
don't go and put the $100 on that on the sports bet account either. Just to let you know that could be a long shot victory on that one.
Schwags, does that line up with?
Yeah, it's not far off. But I think Verstappen's going to get pole position again. I think they've got that Red Bull in a spot they want it to be now. All of the noise, I think, has stopped for them, so they're concentrating on building a fast car for Max, and Yuki will do his thing and catch up a bit as well. But so Verstappen's going to get pole, and I think he's going to take it out as well. I think it's probably a tough track. There'll be a safety car at some stage because that's just the track that it is, and you have a few rookies going out a hard track like this. Something's going to happen.
To be fair, Dan, we were talking before. We were tossing money out whether it be Collar Pinto or Stroll who's going to bin it into a wall. So we haven't taken the full bets on that yet.
The chances are high there, aren't they, at that kind of circuit? So I've got Verstappen for pole, Verstappen to win, Piastri to come second. And I'm the same. I reckon Leclerc, he did well last year. The Ferrari seemed to have a bit more pace. His luck will change this weekend. I think he'll get third.
All right, KT, it's up to you.
Only leaves us to our expert opinion.
Bring us home.
Hang on. Who are we bringing
When's he getting here?
And our special guest this week is...
David Coulthard. No.
The magic 8-ball.
I've got one of those on the shelf if you want to get it.
We so should. It'll probably do better. So, look, I'm going to go for a bit of a Hail Mary pass here and take it a little bit left field. Not
Dan, make sure you're writing this down, by the way.
Yep. So it's recorded for prosperity, but I'm actually going to go off one of Happy's outlandish predictions where we're going to have a rookie who's going to take a podium for this season. So given the track and given the driver who doesn't know where the brake pedal is on his car, I'm actually putting Kimi Antonelli for pole.
Wouldn't that put him more closer to going in the wall than getting pole position?
Hey, look, from that perspective I think, I'm going to give it to Kimi, who can, I think, with the pressure off his shoulders from Imola being his home Grand Prix, he'll be able to take a bit of a breath and feel a little bit more confident in regards to his driving. I think the Mercedes is doing well, and the car's actually well tuned. So I think Kimi's going to take pole. I don't think he's going to take out the race. I'm still going to put Oscar as being first for the actual race. I think if McLaren can actually not stuff up their pit stop strategy and actually be faster, unfortunately we saw Oscar having slower pit stops in Imola. So if they can get that right, I can see Oscar taking first, followed by Kimi in second, and then followed by Max in third. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So from that, we've got, as we're saying, the Monaco Grand Prix. Boring for some. Personally, for me, I love the Monaco Grand Prix. I think it's, I just love the history, the feel. My wife and I got the chance to walk around the track, not during the Grand Prix, but when we were there on our honeymoon. So it's just got that feeling, which I love. Lockie, I know you're not a fan.
I love watching the marina. I love watching the cars pull up to the casino, but the actual race itself.
So for the downshift team, we're more than happy for someone to prove us wrong and invite us to one of the yachts to come and watch the race. So for
possibly not this weekend, but if you could arrange it for the following year, we could make it through then. That'll be fine.
Yeah, so for any billionaires out there looking for Australian pundits.
If we got an invite this week, I reckon you'd make it work. I reckon you'd clear your calendar.
I'll just go pack a bag right now. Should be fine.
I'll be on the plane in the morning.
Okay, of course I would, but that's not the point.
All right. So
Maybe not this weekend, he says. I'm a bit busy. Okay. What do you
let me check my calendar.
washing weekend?
So for any billionaires wanting the Downshift team to come and join them this weekend on a yacht in the harbour at Monaco, jump onto the downshift.com.au and get in touch with us, and we'll be sure to we'll move some things around to make it
I
happen.
make a mean espresso martini.
We've all got current passports, so we're good to go.
So
Imagine that. Oh, crap. Just get an invite and your passport's not current.
3 out of 4 of us have current passports. We're all good to go.
So as always, make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. We will be doing the review of Monaco on Tuesday of next week, followed by our preview of Spain. But until then, we'll catch you on the next lap. And that's the checkered flag for this episode of The Downshift. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us in the paddock. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a lap. And hey, if we've earned it, drop us a 5-star review. It really helps us climb the grid and reach more motorsport fans. Tune in next time as we keep pushing flat out to bring you fresh, current and entertaining content. Until next time, keep it fast, keep it fun, and we'll catch you on the next lap.